going on, guys? My name is Austin. This is the Bodies in Business podcast. And today we're going to talk about what's the prize. And we're going to jump into that really quick because this week, one of my developers, we were talking about a feature update. And I said, you know what? I want to put in this feature update that calculates points, right? That gives a point for every single thing that you do that's like on a healthy path. And we kind of went through the whole, kit and caboodle of all these points. Like you get a point for mileage, you get a point for, documenting a food post, you get a point for doing the wellness quiz. And after I explained all of this, my developer, Maxim, said, what's this for? Like, what's the prize? And I was like, oh my God, it's such a good question because, people are going to do things that have a prize related to them most of the time. And so that's one thing that I want to try to gamify things as best as I can, because I know when people feel like they're playing a game and it's fun, they're going to continue to do that. So it made me take a step back and think a little bit, because I was like, okay, the prize will probably be some sort of discount at the Flybody store, or we're probably going to do a giveaway for anybody who reaches a certain amount of points throughout the month. And so what's interesting to me is that was the first thing that goes through his head. And I'll be honest, every time I do a presentation at a school for faculty and staff, I finish the presentation and usually we do a challenge right after the presentation. Well, it never fails that a teacher raises their hand and says, hey, what are the prizes going to be for this challenge? Because everybody's like, if I'm going to put in physical effort for this, I want there to be a carrot at the end that I can look forward to getting. And so I found that to be super interesting, because I was like, man, there's not always, like, my first thought is, okay, what is the prize? What are people going to get? What can I incentivize people to do? What can I incentivize people to do to get something in the end? And, at the end of the day, we do a lot of things that don't necessarily result in a one-to-one prize for the effort you put in. And so it really got me thinking, and I wanted to talk this week about what's the prize and break down a few things of made me really think about two people, or I wanted to talk about two instances. One, from a physical standpoint, like what is a time when somebody like gave their all, but it didn't end up working out like they wanted to? And then from a business standpoint, I wanted to do the same thing. Who is someone that worked their butt off for like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and then it finally panned out, or, it took a long time for them to actually work for them. So I wanted to first jump into these two people. First person is an Olympic story. Her name's Merline Ottey, and she's a Jamaican sprinter, and she ran the 100 and 200 meters. And she actually did a total of 6 Olympic games. 6 Olympic games. That's 24 years. Her first Olympic games was when she was age 20. Okay, I'm going to tell you her story, and then I'm going to tell you the story of James Dyson from the business standpoint, because his whole career spanned like 40, 50 years. And I think it's just interesting because we don't realize that the things we do on a consistent basis day to day are really building us up to just be resilient and give us more opportunity, make us feel better, and then also help others throughout the way, which those are the 3 things I'm actually going to talk about after everything. So I wanted to talk about Merline's story first. So Merline's story, at age 20, she was at the 1980 Moscow Olympics. And in the 200 meter, she won bronze. She ran 22.2 second 200 meter, and she finished only 0.17 seconds behind the gold medalist. And that's like 0.17 seconds is like the most minute amount of time. Obviously it can be 0.01, but think about that. From bronze to gold after training for probably 4 years of her life, well, maybe 2 years at that point, but up to that point when she was 20 years old, it looks like, oh my gosh, she's going to win so many gold medals throughout her career. Spoiler alert, she didn't win 1 gold medal throughout her career, and she went to 6 Olympics. All right, so she ended up going to the Los Angeles 1984 Olympics when she was 24 years old. So 4 years later, she's training super hard. She's probably got really high hopes since she already got bronze as a 20-year-old. She ended up getting bronze in the 100 meter and bronze in the 200 meter. All right. So still hasn't won a gold medal. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because most of the time people are like, okay, if I don't get gold, I didn't do anything. I would say a lot of people is like, oh man, like gold is the carrot. Gold is the objective. And so in life, a lot of times it's like getting the raise is the objective in business, or winning a CIF championship in football is also, if you're playing California football, is also the objective. And also winning games is the objective. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. And she, after getting bronze as a 20-year-old, 4 years later, getting 2 bronze, one in the 100 meter, one in the 200 meter. Then in the 1988 Olympics, it was in Seoul, Korea. She was 28 years old. She got no medals. All right, no medals. She finished 4th in the 200 meter. So she went from bronze, a 20-year-old, 2 bronze as a 24-year-old, and then nothing as a 28-year-old. So can you imagine like 8 years of being one of the best sprinters in the world and not winning a gold or a silver in the Olympics? Obviously, you look at her career, or at least I did, and you see that she definitely won races all the time. Like she definitely won races at different events and stuff like that. But the Olympics is kind of the elite of the elite, and who can perform in those moments. So now we're at the 1996 Olympics, and I want to share my screen because she is. So she was 28 years old, and then I skipped one Olympics, or I skipped one Olympics because she didn't win gold again. And then in the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, she's 36 years old. This is Olympics that makes her extraordinary. Okay, OT was 36 years old, competing for her 5th Olympics, and she came agonizing. Or I just want to play this really quick so that you can see what I'm talking about, because this is pretty incredible what happens. And let me just share my screen. I'm going to share it. Stay with me. Share my screen. All right, here we go. Who took that one? It took them 10 minutes to figure out that, I think not Devers, or who ended up winning? Oh, let me see. Sorry. But Devers ended up winning after 10 minutes. They had to look at the film that much to, I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see. Stop sharing. Cool. And so that just goes to show you, like, she was that close. She was that close. It was unreal. I can't believe she was that close to winning gold, and she still ended up losing and getting silver. She ended up getting silver that year. But can you imagine, 36 years old, it's been 16 years since you've been training to win a gold medal at the Olympics for your country, and you're this close and you ended up losing. And I think back to it, and it's just like, obviously she wanted to win, but at the end of the day, like, that win doesn't define who she is as a person. She probably learned I'm sure she learned so much within that 16 years. She probably did so many coaching. She did so many things, and just adversity always pushing her forward. She also helped Jamaica win a 4x1 relay bronze. So she got a silver in the 100 meter. She came in silver in the 200 meter, or she came in second in the 200 meter, and she got a bronze in the 400 meter. So like the 1996 Olympics was unbelievable. And then I jump forward to the 2004 Olympics. Now this is 24 years of being in the Olympics, and she ended up getting no medals when she was 44 years old. I like this quote. It says, 44 years old, she qualified for a 7th consecutive Olympics, this time representing Slovenia after becoming a Slovenia citizen in 2002. So she just got grit. She's just going to find a way to get this. She didn't medal, but simply being competitive at that age was extraordinary. World Athletics noted before Athens that she had run 11.09 seconds at age 44, rewriting master sprint records and still putting herself in contention to advance through the Olympic rounds. So that was her last Olympics. I can't imagine, like, my body, I'm 37 years old, and my body is just absolutely just wrecked from all the sports that I played, and my knees are going downhill and all these other things. And I'm just like, for 24 years, she was at the peak of her game, and not one time did she win a gold. So for that, some people would be like, God, that wasn't worth it. 24 years and you never won a gold. But I guarantee you, along the way, she just learned so much, and she just worked hard. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, the gold's not going to happen all the time or ever. And, for the common person, why do we work out, right? Why do we want to stay healthy? And, I'll get into James Dyson one here in a second, because I think that's important. But what I wrote down when it comes to being healthy, I said, you feel better on a regular basis. Okay. When you feel better on a regular basis, you feel happier. You feel like you want to do more things. You feel like you're in a better mood. People want to be around you because you're probably putting off good vibes. You're a joy to be around. And the next thing is you can do more to help others. So when you're healthier, when you feel stronger, when you feel like you're more capable, you are more capable of helping others. When you're always focused on yourself, And that can go two ways. I will say, like when you're always focused on yourself from a health perspective, like always trying to make yourself better. Cause I have been in that situation where I was like, I got to focus on myself. I got to make myself 100%. Whereas sometimes it's better to focus on others to bring them up to your level or to make them their best self. So it goes both ways. I will say that. But when you're thinking, okay, I'm always taking care of myself. I'm always feeling sick. I'm always, injured, or I'm always, not always, but a lot of the times I'm not at my best. I'm always thinking about, gosh, like I just don't feel good. You're not going to want to help others because you're thinking about how you need to help yourself before you can even start to help the others. All right. And it's going to be annoying for you to want to help others because you can't even take care of yourself. When you can take care of yourself, you can definitely help others in a more relaxed way. You don't feel like you feel in more control. You don't feel like, oh gosh, I need to take care of myself. I can't even take care of myself and I have to take care of others. So that's the second thing is you can be more helpful to others. Okay. The third thing that I'll talk about is it creates more opportunity. What I mean by that is when you don't have to worry about your health as much and how you're feeling, and you're just like doing the things you need to do throughout the day, it gives you more opportunity to look outside yourself and see what else is out there that you can do. And it puts you in a better position over the long term, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. Because as you get older, you start to gain more knowledge about how the world works, about how this whole game is going, the rules of the game, and you start looking for more opportunities. When you're constantly thinking about like keeping my head above water and just trying to make it each day and just trying to do my normal job so that I don't like fall behind, you're not going to be looking for other opportunities that can improve your life or improve your family's life. You're going to always be like, all right, what's the minimal that I need to do to just get by so that I can just live my life? All right. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying if you want to like squeeze the juice out of life, squeeze the juice out of everything that you can, living a healthier lifestyle will allow you to want to do more things, right? And that's not to say like you're never going to want to do more things if you don't live like the perfect healthy lifestyle. That's not what I'm saying. But if you work out consistently, you eat a healthy diet, and you're getting good sleep, those things will definitely give you greater opportunity to do more things in life over the long term, right? And you just don't know. Obviously, I don't have a magic ball that says that's going to for sure give you the greatest opportunity possible, but I think it creates more opportunities for you, okay? Okay, now we're going to talk about from a business standpoint, like what's the point? Like why work your butt off for 5, 10, 15 years at a job or at a business and you don't know if it's going to work out. Like when I think about what Max said to me is like, what's the prize? It's like, okay, most people are working so that they can get their paycheck each month. And that's fine. That is a good reason to work. And some people have different aspirations and stuff like that. Some people have to take care of their families. Some people have different injuries and stuff like that they have to worry about. But the point I'm making is like, as an entrepreneur, I don't know specifically when I first started out, like when I was going to make enough money so that I could feel, safe that I could keep doing this forever, right? And what I'll say about that is like over time, I get signals that say I'm going in the right direction. And so I have to build off of those. And so for me, those are like points. If I get a school to do Flybody's wellness services, and then I get another school, and then I get another school, and those are like points to me. Now, along the way, there are little points that may not seem like points at the time, but like helping an individual get on a better nutritional diet, getting an individual better, getting on a more regimented workout plan, getting an individual to walk more. These are little points. These are smaller points that add up along the way that in the moment, they're not completely connected to a dollar figure a lot of times. When you help someone and it's not connected to a specific outcome, that's okay, right? Sometimes you don't know specifically how something is going to help you 5, 10, 15 years from now, but you have a good feeling of doing something. You're like, I'm doing something beneficial. And I know that over time, if I can refine that thing, I can potentially get points or, make money or make this part of my life for a long period. So we got a short time here, got about 3 minutes. I wanted to talk about James Dyson. James Dyson, at 32 years old, starts building the Cyclone vacuum cleaner prototypes. He creates a crude version of a bagless vacuum cleaner and begins experimenting obsessively with the Cyclone design. It took him 5 years and 5,121 failures before the successful prototype. 5,126 failures before a successful prototype. That means he's 37 years old. Now I'm going to fast forward to 1944. When he's 44 years old, 1991. So this is 12 years later. The G-Force receives, and this is his vacuum cleaner, the experiment that he did, receives recognition in Japan. Its success helps validate the technology and provides Dyson with resources of manufacture and market the product himself rather than relying entirely on established vacuum cleaner companies. So he tried to market his vacuum in the UK, but he had to go to Japan to do that. Now he's 46 and Dyson so 14 years after he started experimenting with vacuum cleaners, 14 years, Dyson launches his own vacuum company and the DC-101. This is arguably the biggest business turning point. Instead of convincing incumbent manufacturers to adopt his invention, he competes directly against them. The bagless dual cyclone vacuum enters the UK market in 1990s. So it took him 14 years, but before he was actually to have his own his real own company to sell his own vacuum cleaner. And he was 46 years old. So I love that example because it just goes to show you that if you're in business, business is an infinite game. And you can constantly, if you stay in the game from a health standpoint, and that's what I always try to say is when you can take care of your health, then it allows you to work harder on your business over the long term. All right. Just because you're taking care of your health doesn't mean you have to completely block out everything else in life. The longer we're alive, the longer we're business is alive and we're alive, the more we can think about other ways that we can make our businesses better. Okay. And that's why this podcast is called Bodies and Business. Bodies in Business. Because I am trying to live a healthy lifestyle so that I can one day build Flybodies up, that it's a very successful company. I believe right now it is a successful company, but we are continuously trying to get bigger, better products. And I wouldn't be able to do that thing on a day in, day out if I was always feeling terrible and always having to feel like I don't want to work today, right? So I know that, there's always, there's always exceptions to everything that we do. And I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes. We're almost done with the IG. So I'm going to finish it there. And I'm going to say, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Go check out Merlene Auty and her story. And then also James Dyson. I highly recommend those two. And that's all I got. Hope you like that. Get after it, guys.